This analysis is based on media reports, leaked claims, and political commentary. Some details remain disputed and unverified. This is opinion and analysis, not confirmed fact. We may be witnessing a political moment comparable to historical power struggles. According to reports emerging this weekend, Saturday, January 31st, 2026, J.D. Vance has allegedly broken ranks with President Trump in an unprecedented way. For 5 years, sources describe Vance as the loyal defender, the spokesperson who appeared on television, who connected with donors, and who stood beside the president through controversy. But according to leaked audio reported by multiple outlets, that dynamic may have shifted dramatically. Referring specifically to what critics call the controversial ICE raid at the Holy Grace Tabernacle in Dallas, where federal operations reportedly involved tear gas deployment near areas where children were present, Vance allegedly used language rarely heard from this administration. He reportedly called it a mistake. According to the leaked transcript, he described the raid as an operational failure and suggested the administration has struggled with public perception. In what analysts consider the most significant portion of the reported audio, Vance allegedly told donors he is personally intervening because the current approach is unsustainable. Political observers are debating whether this represents a genuine rupture or strategic positioning. President Trump, according to sources close to the White House, is reportedly furious about the leak. Anonymous sources claim he views Vance's comments as disloyal. Though he faces a constitutional reality, the vice president cannot be fired. In this comprehensive analysis, we examine the audio transcripts published by major outlets, explore the reported dynamics between Vance and his Silicon Valley financial backers, and investigate whether this signals a fundamental shift in White House power dynamics. Some analysts suggest this could be the beginning of a transfer of effective authority. Others see it as political theater. But the fact remains, when a vice president publicly contradicts presidential policy, the implications are profound. To understand the potential significance of this reported breach, we need context. While Washington, D.C. experienced the Make America Go Away demonstrations yesterday, according to schedule reports, J.D. Vance traveled to Ohio. The official explanation was family time. However, multiple media sources claim he attended an emergency meeting with major Republican donors at a private estate in New Albany. These donors, described as funders of super PACs, energy executives, cryptocurrency investors, and manufacturing leaders, are reportedly concerned about recent economic volatility. The Japan bond market disruption affected investment portfolios. The Canada border situation allegedly impacted supply chains. The Dallas church raid reportedly troubled their religious constituencies. According to the leaked audio published by Politico and the New York Times, Vance addressed these concerns directly. A donor present in the room, according to reports, leaked the recording because they believed the public should hear it. Here is the key segment as transcribed by mainstream outlets. Donor question. Mr. Vice President, we're facing serious challenges. The boycott movement is real. Markets are unstable. Watching federal enforcement at a church in Texas, that looks problematic. Is anyone listening? J.D. Vance reported response. Look, I'm not going to claim everything is proceeding smoothly. It's not. The raid in Dallas was a mistake. It was an operational failure of the highest order. You don't deploy tear gas in a sanctuary. That doesn't align with our values or our promises. Donor. Does the president understand that perspective? Vance reported, after pause. The president is extremely focused on enforcement priorities, but sometimes in intense situations, you can overlook unintended consequences. That's why I'm stepping in. I've spoken with the Attorney General. We're reviewing protocols for these tactical teams immediately. We're going to address this. If the current strategy leads to political disaster, I'm not following that path. Let's analyze what political commentators are highlighting. Operational failure. While Trump defended the raid and made controversial statements about the pastor, Vance allegedly contradicted that defense publicly. "I'm stepping in." Critics note he didn't say, "The president asked me to help." The language suggests independent authority. Political analysts interpret this as asserting executive influence beyond typical VP roles, signaling to donors that he represents stability. Political disaster. This is what some call the critical moment. By framing continued loyalty to the current approach as politically suicidal, he may be giving donors permission to reconsider their allegiances while keeping the party viable. Was this leak accidental? Political operatives note that J.D. Vance has a reputation for discipline. He would have known that phones were present. Some analysts believe he wanted this message public, to position himself as the responsible leader while Trump faces mounting challenges. According to sources describing the White House atmosphere this morning, tensions are reportedly high. Trump allegedly woke to headlines reading, "Vance breaks ranks, VP calls raid a mistake." For someone who reportedly values loyalty intensely, this represents a significant challenge. Unlike Mike Pence, who declined to overturn election certification but never publicly criticized Trump policies while in office, Vance has now allegedly done exactly that. Unconfirmed reports suggest Trump attempted to summon Vance to the Oval Office, but was rebuffed. Vance's staff allegedly informed the president that the vice president would continue his Ohio schedule to reassure the base. Political observers call this a calculated move. The constitutional reality? Trump cannot remove a vice president. He can limit access and resources, but removal is impossible. Trump responded on Truth Social at 8 a.m. with a post reading, "J.D. Vance is getting bad advice from globalist donors. He doesn't know the full details of the Dallas raid. The pastor was involved in criminal activity. J.D. needs to get tougher or get out of the way. I am the president, not the donors." Political analysts noted the post lacked Trump's typically aggressive tone from 2016. Some interpret it as defensive rather than dominant. Without Vance, observers note, Trump potentially loses Senate leverage, technology sector funding, and future coalition building. Analysts believe Vance understands this dynamic. Why this moment? Follow the money. J.D. Vance's political career was reportedly funded substantially by Peter Thiel and Silicon Valley libertarian investors. These backers allegedly wanted disruptive change, but not economic instability. The Great American Boycott movement is reportedly affecting major tech companies. The EU's threats regarding data transfers and anti-coercion instruments could impact Facebook, Google, and Palantir significantly. If European regulators restrict data flows, Silicon Valley could lose substantial revenue. Sources in the technology sector claim that Peter Thiel and Elon Musk allegedly met with Vance recently. The reported message, "The current approach is failing economically and needs course correction." Vance allegedly represents the connection between populist politics and financial interests. These interests reportedly asked him to prioritize economic stability. His Ohio comments, some analysts suggest, signaled to markets, "Don't panic yet. Leadership is stabilizing." Notably, markets showed slight positive movement following news of the leak. Algorithmic trading appears to respond positively to Vance and negatively to Trump volatility. When Wall Street indicators favor your potential replacement, political scientists note, your position becomes precarious. We must address the 25th Amendment, Section 4. This provision allows the Vice President and a cabinet majority to declare the President unable to discharge duties. Until recently, this seemed theoretical. You need the VP to initiate it. Now, according to political observers, the VP has allegedly signaled willingness to diverge from the President. Could he be assessing cabinet support? Let's examine reported cabinet sentiment. Secretary of State Rubio, reportedly frustrated by diplomatic challenges, possibly supportive. Secretary of Treasury, allegedly concerned about Japan bond market crisis, possibly supportive. Secretary of Defense, reportedly troubled by recent controversial incidents, likely supportive. Political analysts emphasize, Vance doesn't need to invoke the amendment today. Simply raising the possibility changes the dynamic. He's allegedly telling Trump, I have constitutional options available. Let me guide governance, or I'll exercise them. This represents what some call a soft power transition. Vance potentially becomes the effective decision-maker while Trump maintains ceremonial authority. The bureaucracy may begin routing matters through Vance's office for review. We could be witnessing a fundamental shift in presidential power dynamics. Why the Dallas raid became the catalyst. It allegedly divided the coalition. Vance, a Catholic convert, reportedly understands religious conservatives better than Trump. He may recognize that tear gas deployment near children in a church crosses a line for evangelicals. By calling it a mistake, Vance positions himself with religious communities against government overreach. He's allegedly telling Christians, I represent your values. Trump represents chaos. This potentially allows the base to maintain policy support while questioning Trump personally. Supporters could say, we support the Trump-Vance agenda, but Trump has become unstable. Vance should lead. It's a sophisticated political maneuver, potentially appropriating the movement from its founder. He's calculating that voters are exhausted. They enjoyed the disruption in 2016. In 2026, with economic challenges and controversial incidents, they allegedly want stability. Vance offers the agenda without the volatility. International reaction appears to be cautious optimism. European diplomatic sources reportedly view the transcript as potentially significant. If Vance is gaining influence, perhaps trade tensions could ease. Perhaps aggressive rhetoric regarding Greenland or vassal statements might moderate. Reports suggest the German Foreign Minister's office has allegedly contacted Vance's team, bypassing traditional State Department channels, to discuss de-escalation possibilities. This, if true, confirms an emerging shadow authority structure. When foreign governments allegedly begin communicating primarily with the VP rather than the president, power dynamics have fundamentally shifted. The Trump-Vance partnership appears politically fractured. Joint campaigning seems impossible. Imagine a rally. Trump defending the raid as necessary. Vance standing beside him, calling it a mistake. The contradiction is unsustainable. Political strategists suggest Vance is positioning for the nomination now, not waiting for 2028. If November midterms result in significant losses, as some polls predict, party leadership may blame Trump. Vance wants to be viewed as the person who attempted to correct course. He's reportedly establishing the narrative, I tried to fix this, but cooperation was impossible. This represents the breakdown of unified executive authority. The White House allegedly functions as a divided institution, and political history suggests such divisions are unsustainable, particularly amid economic stress and protest movements. J.D. Vance reportedly assessed the trajectory of the Trump presidency, evaluated the challenges, the boycott movement, market instability, the church raid controversy, and decided not to be defined by potential failure. He allegedly chose to create distance from the president to preserve party viability. It was calculated, strategic, and potentially the most significant political move of the year. Donald Trump now reportedly faces simultaneous challenges: Democratic opposition and protesters outside, international economic pressure, and alleged internal opposition from his own vice president. Successfully managing all three simultaneously would be historically unprecedented. In fact, historical precedents suggest managing even one effectively would be challenging. Stay subscribed. We're monitoring for cabinet meetings at the Naval Observatory, the VP's residence. Such gatherings could indicate serious discussions about constitutional options. This reported breach may only be beginning. The endgame timeline remains uncertain. We should understand the intellectual foundation reportedly behind this. Peter Thiel, Vance's alleged mentor, reportedly believes in individual sovereignty and governmental inefficiency. He allegedly backed Trump as a disruptive force against established systems. But when disruption threatens financial assets, capitalism demands reassessment. Thiel reportedly prioritizes returns. The pivot to Vance allegedly represents what some call technocratic restoration, competent authority rather than chaotic authority. Vance potentially represents the refined version. Trump was the prototype. The Ohio audio represents the updated operating system. Critically, Vance's raid critique wasn't framed using progressive language about human rights. It was framed using conservative language about sacred spaces. He reportedly didn't argue that immigrants have rights. He argued, "You don't gas a church." This distinction matters enormously. It allows him to maintain hardline immigration supporters while criticizing tactics. He's navigating political territory that Trump typically demolishes. This demonstrates political sophistication that the president allegedly lacks. Watch the agencies next week: DHS, DOJ, Treasury. Career officials heard the tape. They allegedly recognize Vance's growing influence. They may begin delaying Trump's more controversial directives. Mr. President, we're reviewing the order. We're studying the legal implications. They'll allegedly wait for Vance's approval. Government machinery may slow for Trump and accelerate for Vance. This is how institutional power actually operates. It follows authority, and authority allegedly just shifted. The leak was the signal. The Make America Go Away movement allegedly just gained a high-level sympathizer. Even the vice president reportedly wants the chaos to end. Stay vigilant. Monitor the Deputy Attorney General. Watch market indicators. All claims presented are based on media reports, leaked documents, and political analysis. We cannot verify all details independently. Some information remains disputed. This is commentary and opinion. Form your own conclusions based on multiple sources.